Hi, Tammy Murphy here. Welcome to my kitchen. And cool weather is coming in, so I thought I would go ahead and share. I'm about to make authentic homemade fresh pasta, and I know some of my clients have actually asked me, how do you do it? What is involved? How long does it take? And I will tell you, I've already jump started this and started my pasta sauce, so it is simmering away on the stove top and it smells fantastic. And I generally will start that first so that it has ample time to marinate and stew and just get all that yummy goodness cooking in there. So now I turn my attention to the actual pasta, and I gotta tell you, I love this. I'll flip the camera around if that's possible or not. Love my island top because it allows for easy cleanup projects and also gives me great working space without getting into my kitchen counter area where I have to clean everything off. So here's what we've got. You can see I've put my eggs into the mixing bowl and we'll start stirring that around. I'm going to try to set this up here so you don't see my hand, but that you can hopefully see what is going on here in my kitchen. So we've got the 3 eggs, olive oil, and about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I like to mix that all around to give it a good start. And actually, believe it or not, fresh pasta, they recommend all-purpose flour. So that makes it easy. You don't have to have any particular special kind of flour. Some recipes call for 0, 00 flour, and on just the pasta noodles themselves, all-purpose flour works great. So you're gonna see this area get a little bit dirty, and all in good fun, we are going to take about 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm gonna put that right in the center of my island here. If I back that up, maybe you can actually see that part. So the flour is going here in the center, and what I like to do is make a well so that that egg and olive oil and salt mixture can actually be poured right into the center of that well of the flour. So it's time to get your hands dirty. If you're afraid or concerned about the feel, probably not the project for you. I take the egg mixture and pour it right into the center of the flour. That allows for me to work this into the flour and really get that going. Hopefully you did not have a river just start running off to the edges if you're following this recipe at some point. And you just really keep mixing that in. And it is just a matter of, yes, your hands are gonna get ooey and gooey with this flour, egg, salt mixture, but it makes it so much fun, especially when you get to eat and reap those benefits later in the evening. So this process generally takes just about 10 minutes of really kneading that flour. You keep working it back and forth, and it really isn't anything special other than you're just kneading it. And then once you get a good consistency and you have that dough come together, you'll know right now this is not coming together. This is a mess. And it feels weird, strangely reminiscent of Play-Doh, if you know how that feels on your fingers. This is just like that. It's pasta dough. So of course, I guess that's how the namesake gets there. Play-Doh from pasta dough. Just keep reworking that in there. You keep pushing it out. You're just trying to release the gluten in the flour to hold the mixture together. All that good stuff, unless of course you're gluten-free or have allergies with it and you need to be gluten-free, then you can use a gluten-free product as well. And I would have to check those ratios, so don't quote me on the ratios if it's the same or if it's different. You can see now how the flour is starting to hold together. It's no longer crumbly, but it is starting to take shape. This is a workout. Let me tell you, you're gonna push and knead and get all of that flour mixture worked in there together. so that eventually what will happen is that area you made a mess on the island with or on your countertop will all come together and be somewhat clean from just the kneading process itself. You just keep working that, and what you would want to see is that you don't have flour particles showing in the dough because it's been worked into the dough. Just something that you keep working. And again, about 10 minutes of doing this will get you the end result that you want. Yes, I have music on in the background, and that is always a nice way to have time pass, kind of keep up with how much time is passing, and also entertain yourselves. I promise I won't be singing in the video because nobody wants to hear that. So we'll just keep on doing this, and you can see on the actual island, everything is just about spotless from kneading. All the flour has come together, and you might want to get those pieces out from your fingers and just incorporate those in there as well. Or you can wash your hands and not include them in there. Of course, we washed our hands before we started this, so we knew we had good clean surfaces to work on. Just kind of rolling this out. Again, just make that incorporate into each other. You're really applying the pressure with that palm of your hand, kneading that dough down in place. I prefer the recipe that doesn't have this then sit for 30 minutes. I don't cut this right away, but I do let it sit about 15 minutes just because that makes it a little bit easier to work with. In my case, I do have a pasta cutter, so it makes it easier to run through there if the dough itself is set up and just relaxed a bit. And fast forward because my timer is telling me I'm 7 minutes into this. We're almost there, people. Yay! You can see the difference in that dough, how it has all come together. There are no more flour particles. It's all a nice golden yellow color from the egg yolk, which makes it so yummy when you go to taste this. You will not go back to the box version. This will be your favorite. Very simple, just a little time and just a little bit of extra effort. Good arm workout. And there we go. We've got that all. I can tell the difference. When I feel it, it just feels like a solid, cohesive piece of dough. And then what I do is I just kind of push that out, get it into some shape similar to the shape of a baguette, a small baguette maybe. And that's going to allow it to thin out because we'll cut it into usually thirds or maybe even quarters if that runs through the machine a little bit better than one long big piece. It makes it easier to handle. So I'm going to step away so I can wash my hands, and I will be right back. Okay, we are back and hands are all nice and clean. The dough is setting up, and what I will do is clear the area and get the pasta cutter. I have a little pasta machine that was very much worth the spend on it because I have put it to good use. So hold on just a moment. Okay, unlike when working with the bread, you don't need to continue to put flour out on the surface. So I'm just gonna clear away these items and give us some extra room. So my spend is for this Mercado Atlas 150 pasta machine, and it is the best. It is so easy to just side mount here to my island. I don't have to do anything special aside from loosen up the bolt and get it to attach. And from there, then I put on the handle and I'm able to start processing that pasta dough through and create that wonderful, fresh, authentic homemade pasta. And we're just screwing this in here. This pasta machine does come in different colors, but I love the red. Thought that would go really well with what I like. And so that is mounted there. What we have is the arm that spins this through and makes that turn. So the first part of the process is to spin the dial, and I generally start on the widest setting so that I can start working the dough through. So I take the dough, as I mentioned earlier, and I generally will cut this into about thirds or quarters. I think for now we're just gonna go with thirds. 3 seems to be my magic number. 3 boys growing up, 3 men in my life. That is the thing to do. We've got 3 that we're gonna work with. I just kind of smooth this out, make it a consistent shape, a little bit of a rectangle. It's gonna go through the machine and start thinning this pasta. And it doesn't have to be equal. You won't have perfectly even strips unless you're that OCD and you cut everything perfect. So the purpose is to, again, just start the process, and you turn the handle and you will see here as this pasta starts coming out, it is thinner than what it went into the machine with. And you can see now we have that. And then I do each of my dough pieces with the same setting and then make that setting smaller, which makes the dough thinner, and I incrementally do that. So it just is a bit of a process, certainly not hard or time consuming, but just a little bit of effort to make that final piece of pasta perfect. And the machine has different cutters, I will say. It has one that's more for the fettucine size and one that's for the thinner spaghetti size. So whatever your preference is, the same dough recipe can be used. And you see here, just as I take this second piece of the dough to come through on that first round at the 0 setting, you can see how that starts to thin it out. It's still too thick to use for this general cooking of pasta that we are familiar with. And I will be making spaghetti pasta, so it will go to the thinner, and I may show you the other size because it's always fun to have the different sizes too. We just take the third piece, run it through, and again you see it's very smooth, it's thinning that out. And what I do is I don't go by ones, I just generally jump by 2. So I'll take the setting to a number 2. And you will see we start out with about this length, and it is going to start getting longer as it thins this spaghetti dough, pasta dough, into a thinner piece, making it longer. So you can see how it's starting to thin out. Sorry if this part is boring, but just to prove the point, it really is authentic homemade with the help of a time-saving device like this. I know our Italian friends probably do all of this by hand still, but we do like the shortcuts for some things. Still to get the desired end results though. Now I'll take it and run it to a 4, and I have typically found a 6 to an 8 is our ideal setting on our thickness of the pasta. And I have used this for lasagna noodles, and it is fabulous. The pasta noodles for the lasagna, just a little bit thicker. You can start to see finger imprints there. You can see how much longer that is. I have to actually turn it. And yes, the lasagna noodles with this is phenomenal. Like, we will never go back to the hard case of lasagna noodles. My boys definitely could tell the difference. So that's always the most fun, is when they tell the difference and say, yep, that's good. Let's do that again. So there's that piece, you see, coming out longer and longer. I do have my cutter here that if I want to make all of them the same length and then add these end pieces together, that is always something that you can do. Again, push this now to a 6 and you will see the difference. I don't know, you can tell barely the print there, and you will see the difference with this 6 because that does get it to a nice thinner consistency. And there we go. With the 6 much thinner. 6 to me is a perfect lasagna noodle. A little bit thicker than what your spaghetti noodles would be, so it will hold the shape better, holds the sauce when you put it into the pan. And then we're just going to continue to run these through, still on the 6 setting. This is our second piece, which was already the longest one, and I'm pretty sure that is going to be as long as my island tabletop. Let me just see. No, that is not that python that everybody shows on their videos, that crazy yellow colored python. This is pasta, homemade authentic pasta. And our third round is going through on the 6th setting. And we are almost there, people. You're almost ready to see the actual noodles get cut. Aren't you excited? Notifications going off in the background. Songs by Luke Bryan playing on the background. Now, this is really starting to get a little longer than what I like to try to manipulate with. And so this is where I will start trimming to say, go to that next final setting. And if I take these pieces and I go in half, then I know that I will have pretty consistent sizing on those noodles. And that just cuts down through the pasta so that it can more easily be handled. And change the setting. That is going to an 8. And here you go. See where that point is? We'll run this through and show you the difference of what an 8 makes. And there you go. Now you can see in the light, you can see the fingers come through. And so that is a perfectly thin width, texture, thickness for your pasta noodles on an 8 setting. In my opinion, that's what we like. So we're going to run the rest of this dough through here very quickly, and then I can change the handle to the actual cutters. And we just lay all of this out. I do have a drying rack that I can put it on, and that helps to keep it from sticking to the surface of the top here. But generally I have my water already started, and once I cut those strips of the noodles, then I can throw them into the boiling water with a little bit of olive oil in there, and they cook in 3 minutes. 3 minutes, people. It's fantastic. So all of this just to get to that, it's well worth it. And it's also fun to make different sizes of the noodles. When my kids were smaller, they didn't like the long noodles because then it would make a mess. Sometimes, honestly, I think that's easier, just having the shorter, smaller noodles to deal with. And so you can certainly cut these edges off and get an even length on your spaghetti main parts, the main body of that pasta dough and create the same size of pasta noodles. You can see we're back almost as long as we were on the first one before I cut those down. So you can see how much dough you are getting out of the pasta. And in fact, I'm going to cut this one because it's already a pretty good length. And just make that happen. So that being a nice even sheet would be easy to get consistent shapes to your spaghetti noodles. So we will run that through. And then, voila, we have one final piece to run through. Now it gets fun, right? As if this wasn't already fun. Well, fun for me. Maybe not fun for you watching, but fun for me. So now it's as simple as taking the handle and putting it into the cutting device that you want. Again, I am doing the spaghetti, so I'm going to take this run, and I think you can still see this. Take this run, put it in that back piece of the cutter. You can hear it coming through, and then I will show you how fun this is. That one piece of dough, a handful of spaghetti. You can lay that out on your island top, your countertop, your work surface, and that allows for that dough to just set up. You want it to get a little dry, not too dry, unless you're going to dry it completely and then use it for later. So I like to set it out there so that it can just firm up a little bit before I throw it into the water, and that allows for me to cut the rest of this. Again, just feed it through. You learn what the perfect width is on the dough so that you don't have it streaming out. How fun is that? So you don't have it streaming out all across the machine. And you also learn what your sizes is for portion control by doing this. And I am going to cut this for consistency as well while I'm here. Just get some of these going, because the really long pieces of dough would just make a mess on your white shirt, honestly, because that would be the color I'd have on at the time I was eating that too. This way, you have the average size noodles that you're dealing with. Roll them in your spoon, stick it in your mouth, enjoy. Pasta sauce will just eat up this dough. It's so wonderful. And with my last piece, I will share with you the size, the fettuccine size, the thicker width, just so you see it. This machine, not the most expensive out there, but still an investment if you are going to cook and make pasta like pasta. It is certainly fun and enjoyable and most definitely delicious, so certainly worth it. And in fact, since this is going to go up on my YouTube channel, for one of you lucky viewers, if you like, comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube video of my making pasta, and then send me a message so I see that you actually did it, I will buy one of these machines for one of my lucky viewers out there. So make that incentive work for you if you are interested, because somebody else can have this much fun in their kitchen, and then it really gets interesting. So we're going to roll these through. I have frozen the noodles. Not necessarily my favorite, because I absolutely love the fresh taste of this coming off of the counter and into the cooking pot, and then into the sauce and into my mouth. But there is an option where you can dry it and then freeze it and use it for a later time. So if you're not going to eat all of this pasta, you definitely would want to not waste it and have that as an option as well. And honestly, what I'm going to do is cut that to a nice rectangle shape, and then we're ready to do the bigger size, just so that you see it. Thank you for being patient with me as I cook and get this going here in the kitchen with some fresh pasta. We appreciate you watching at this point, at any point, and certainly for giving us ideas on what videos you want to see and how we can make improvements to our YouTube channel. So this last piece here, I am going to take and move my handle to the fettuccine size cutter and then run this through there so that you get a difference. Just as easy, simple, really don't need muscle power to do this, but it is so much fun. And you can see those are thicker than the pasta noodles there. You can see about 3 times the size and width. And that's fun to have. Put a little butter on these after you have boiled the pasta, and it is fantastic. Warm it up, great for a lunch, great for a pickup. When the evening air gets a little chilly, it's always fun to have something warm, fresh, and Italian to enjoy. And that, my friends, is how I make my pasta in my kitchen. And now I will boil it, and I will put a picture, probably, since it's going to be a little time sensitive here, of the finished results. So thanks for stopping by. We enjoy you, and we hope we bring you some joy as well as some entertainment and helpful hints. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.